My name is Brett Endies. I'm known as the Dog Savant. I've been training dogs for 25 years. My life's mission is to help people learn how to think like their dogs, to help solve their most severe behavior problems. In all these years training over 15,000 dogs, there's one thing that I've learned. People need to learn how to understand their pets. And I'm gonna help you learn to do that. Meet Remy and Cooper. They live in a multi-dog household and both struggle with leash pulling and related reactivity issues. Hi, I'm Brett. Hello. Nice to meet you. Is this Cooper? Okay, let's see what we got here. As you can see, Cooper and Remy are getting very excited and overstimulated by the new transitions that are happening around them. And as you learned in episode 2, the human-dog relationship, this can be a great underlying contributor to other behavior problems such as leash pulling and reactivity. Remy's owner is going to put him on his usual walking harness to show us the problems that she normally struggles with when out on a walk with him. Remy's getting very ahead of himself. He's thinking in many directions, and this is the causality of leash pulling reactivity. It's not a conscious choice the dogs are making. A lot of times when you're using the harness, you're physically controlling the dog, but you're not doing anything as far as their mental state, where they see themselves so far ahead where their body at this point is like a slingshot just being drawn forward unconsciously. So we have to make them more conscious, connect with them, get our energy to flow together. And a lot of times when it's through these physical means of a harness or collars that fall too low on the dog's neck or bribing them with treats, you're completely on the external. If you thought the problems were bad when walking with Remy, the problems only got worse when walking with both dogs. So you see, they're already charging out the door because they are so ahead of themselves, their body feels pulled to where they're projecting. You can see it, their mind's going every which direction and their body is driven by that, and that causes the physical problem. What I'm going to do is I'm going to affix this collar to Remy and I'm going to position it where it stays up high behind his ears, similar to where another dog's canine teeth would create these leverage connections where they would be steering the other dog as they move together as an integral unit. So this is the Starmark Collar, and what this is a pressure creating device. It's meant to simulate dogs' teeth to go up high behind their ears to fit into these places where dogs, they mouth each other. You see dogs when they're running alongside, they nip at each other behind the ears, sometimes in other regions on their body, and they're actually trying to connect. They're not trying to hurt one another, they're trying to herd one another. I like to present the training collar in a positive way. So if your dog is very aversive to the training collar, you can get them acclimated to it, you can have them wear it. We're not using this to cause pain. We're not doing this to choke a dog, to pinch them, to dig into their skin, or do anything that is mean, abusive, or inhumane for them. What we are doing though is mouthing on them the way dogs naturally do with one another. Unless your dog has a diagnosed medical condition, they can wear a training collar around their neck. What is not good for most dogs is harnesses, gentle leaders, flat collars connected to a leash, because then you're going to be pulling too much physically, where this creates more of an energy transfer, the pressure that's going to break the tension, where dog is just projecting forward all the time. You release that and get them to sit back in the moment, and then they're actually going to keep a loose leash for the remainder of your walk. So that's the point of it, is to teach them organically how to walk properly, instead of always fighting against this because their mind is just learning to overproject as a means to an end to a walk. So I have this collar. I'm going to put it on Remy here. I'm going to size it for him. Hey buddy. So we're going to come here, and what I like to do, you're a very fuzzy dog, is I'm going to put it here. I put it behind the ears. I want to make sure that it's going to stay up high enough so it wraps around to at least the midpoint or higher behind the ears, and I'm going to connect the leash to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the leash and I'm going to clip it onto the collar, and now I'm going to use it as an extension of myself. A lot of my clients tell me their dogs are listening because of this wonderful training collar I recommended. I get it. That's what they were made for, is to put on a dog, and it's going to eliminate leash pulling just by the way it pulls back if they get too far ahead. You want to evolve beyond that. You want the dog to see it as an extension of yourself. What I want to do is use this leash and collar as a way to connect with the dog. In no means is it an aversive tool. It's not meant to create any kind of correctiveness. It's really just going to create this pressure and release effect to send vibrations through the leash so that while we're walking, let's go, I can communicate. So when his mind starts to drift, let's go, I can redirect it. So it's all about controlling the mind, and you see already, you start getting this consciousness of the moment. The mind is here instead of being overdrawn, and we can create this effect even all the way up to and including when we get out on the walk. So why don't we take her out on the walk, and why don't we demonstrate how we can use this leash and collar, this style of communication, to teach her organically how not to pull and walk in sync with us as an integral unit. So when you have a dog that has some issues with pulling on the leash, over anticipating the walk, reacting when you're out in public, you want to do a lot of warm-up exercises. You don't want to just put the leash or the training collar on and get going. You want to really, really slow down the pace of life. So what I'm doing here with Remy is I'm having him in a sit, I'm having the moment slow down, so there's no prior knowledge of what's going to happen next. It's all reliance on me, the command, the sense of utility, to replace this sense of, I don't know what to do because I'm so ahead of myself, my body is just being pulled without any awareness of what's happening. So what I'm going to do is segue this sit, this calm state, into a moving calm state through a segue of another command. So what we're doing here is we're going to link the sit into a let's go, and now we're going to do our doorway approach. So this is what I call Doggy Simon Says. This is one of those moments where you start building the strength of a command, where a dog a lot of times will make this assumption that if they're in a command and something else happens, it's time to do that and not adhere to what they would heard previously. So what I'm going to do is, as I open the door, I want to make Remy stay focused on the sit command, and that's that Simon Says. Simon did not say get up, Simon said maintain your command. So what we're going to do is, as we open it, just create a reminder. It's just like tapping on the dog's shoulder. So as the door opens, I'm maintaining this consciousness of the command versus this, I might be sitting, but my mind is already stretching outside, and that really is going to undermine the rest of the walk because they're making the first move into the next environment. A big issue dogs have when you're going out on a walk is they're starting too ahead of themselves. And every good dog trainer will tell you, make a dog sit at the door threshold. We all do that, but the issue is this over projection. The dog's mind can be outside even though they're physically in a sit and their butt's on the ground. So what we need to do is test this a little bit. We need to play this little game of Simon Says of how valuable do you see this command as a way to get through the door versus your anticipation getting the best of you. So then we let's go out the door. That's the initial push. And what we're doing is showing her that we're now in control. So the whole idea is every time now I see him thinking about getting ahead, him becoming overdrawn, I'm responding. I'm not waiting for him to be dragging me. Good. Or if I see he's thinking ahead, and then I get him back on track, I reconnect him. So we're walking, and that's why when I shift gears and slow down or stop, he's at my pace.
Let's go.
That's it. So what you're trying to achieve is this loose leash walk. You're trying to create this strong type of connection that wouldn't even require a leash at some point, where the dog is so well versed in hearing let's go and associating it with being in this one spot, thinking about this spot, that there could be nothing else better on the to-do list when you're out and about.
He feels like he's floating. Before, I feel like he's on like a dog on a dog sled, and I'm literally just pulling him and but now, yeah, look, you stop right away.
As you can see, we did the same exercise with Cooper, and by teaching each dog separately, we are now able to walk them together in a structured, calm way that is problem-free and creates a more integrated family overall. Now you've got them in that flow state. You're connecting, and even though they weren't used to walking together, by establishing them individually, now you can walk back together as a pack. And the more you practice, this is just the first walk you're creating in a structured way, but the more you practice, the more you guide them through their everyday experience and relationship with you, the more you're going to connect them, and then all of you start working together as one instead of becoming opposing forces, and then you're good to go. This becomes the new norm. Okay, so here we are with Cooper and Remy after our first training session, and as you can see, they're a lot calmer, they're a lot more content, and most importantly, they're looking to their owner for guidance. They're feeling more at peace in her presence. They're not over-assessing the shared environment or the shared situations that they're experiencing together. Really, one of the biggest lessons to be learned from this visit is how equipment is so important when it comes to training a dog. You know, Remy, the smaller dog today, was pulling as a direct result from being walked for years with a harness that would create that opposition reflex, and you saw as soon as we adjusted the equipment, it was like an instant change. Same with Cooper. He was wearing a flat collar collar when he was walking. It was falling low and creating that pull like the harness. And once you made the adjustment, we changed the equipment and used it more of a communication device, a way to connect with our dogs versus just physically try to control them. Instantly you see such a noticeable change, and I see this time after time when working with these dogs that are pulling on the leash or have reactivity issues. A major contributor to their leash-related problems are due to improper equipment. To help with this, I recommended a type of training tool called a Starmark Collar. There are many types of training tools available, and each dog's needs can be different. Make sure you consult with a professional before using any type of training tool if you are unsure or inexperienced in its use.